Hi everybody, my name is Ricardo. I'm back to my channel making videos. Like I said, I was away for 6 months. I haven't been able to make a lot of videos lately, so glad to be back. I wanted to talk about two big fights that happened. One happened last year, so I haven't been able to cover it. But that one was Ward versus Kovalev, and the other one was one that just happened now, which was Santa Cruz versus Frampton too. Um, but the big one for me was Ward versus Kovalev. Reason for that was because of just how important it was. You had two in the top 5 pound for pound fighters going against each other, and potentially whoever won this one was going to be the number 1 pound for pound over Roman Gonzalez Chocolatito. So Ward, I like Ward. Here and there, he's up and down for me. Like sometimes he's a man of his word, sometimes he's not. Like I like you depending on how real you are. For instance, do you really want to be number 1 pound for pound? If you did, you'd be fighting more. Like this is your bread and butter. You should be treating it like with respect, right? So yeah, he had problems with his promotional company, maybe it was, or it's just manager. I don't know, but that shouldn't stop you and cause you to take years off your career. When you're just number 2, right? You're number 2. You should be doing just a little bit more just to get to number 1. But he's always been number 2, which sucks. I mean, that's just irritating, being behind the number 1 pound for pound king, which in his case has been Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and then when Floyd came back, it was Floyd again. And then once Floyd retired and Pacquiao kind of dropped down to number 4 or 5, it was Roman Gonzalez Chocolatito. So Ward's always had it rough. I guess he's never been able to prove himself. He has had like one of the most impressive resumes in current day boxing, but just not enough, Now suddenly he has the opportunity. He has the guy he needs to defeat to become number 1. His name is Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev, when he first got in the scene, I forget who it was he fought on his HBO debut, but the guy he knocked him out, and I was pretty impressed. And I thought, wow, this guy's powerful, just like Adonis Stevenson. All of a sudden, the light heavyweight division's the heavyweight division, and they've got like the best fighters in the game all of a sudden, right? So now, when I first saw Kovalev fight, he knocked the guy out, but I thought he was more of a brawler than a boxer. And then all of a sudden, his trainer, the guy with the ponytail, he starts teaching Kovalev how to throw the jab and sit down on it, and that made him a better boxer. And all of a sudden, he's more dangerous than he was before that. So he gets underrated as a boxer. He is a pretty good boxer, and I just wanted people to know that. But slowly he made his way up to number 2. He defeated basically everybody he had to except Adonis Stevenson in his weight division. Adonis has the WBC belt. He has like the WBA, WBO, IBF. So he is the undisputed light heavyweight champion. I mean, he doesn't have the WBC, which in that sense he shouldn't be undisputed, because to be undisputed you have to have all the belts. But he has enough that he has to say he is, And I'll be honest as well. I think Adonis Stevenson versus Kovalev would have been more exciting, but this was still exciting. Ward versus Kovalev. So Kovalev fought everybody he had to. Hopkins beat Hopkins. Surprisingly, didn't knock him out, and that just added to how great Hopkins was as a fighter in his late 40s, almost 50s. Now he was 50, but then he got knocked out by Joe Smith. And he's in denial about that, but whatever. And yeah, Kovalev won all those belts, and suddenly Ward, who's having like a midlife crisis, all of a sudden says, all right, I've been number 2 for way too long. this Nicaraguan's in front of me and I gotta do something about it. I'm gonna challenge the number 2 guy, which is Kovalev. The problem is he's super middleweight, so he's fighting at like 165 to 170, and he needs to go up, I think, like another 5 pounds at least to fight the 170 guys, which are the light heavyweight guys. I don't recommend or think it's a very good idea to have one tune-up fight before challenging the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, especially when that guy's number 2 pound for pound. And when I saw Ward have his tune-up fight against the Cuban light heavyweight, it was a good fight. Problem is, I never saw Ward get as hurt as he did during that fight. After that fight, he had more bruises than usual, is what I'm trying to say. But he looked like the typical Ward. He was dodging all the punches. I think he was just getting caught with a couple more jabs than he cared for. Maybe a straight right here and there. But still, you know, the light heavyweights pack a punch. They're the guys that are between the middleweights and the heavyweights. So you've got the mixture of speed between the middleweights and the punching power of the heavyweights. So that's a problem division, you know. So anyway, Ward has one tune-up fight. He thinks he's ready. He challenges Kovalev for the undisputed light heavyweight championship of the world title, and the fight happens. And I saw the fight here in my room. I ordered it. I was watching it by myself. Usually I go with my friends to one of their uncle's house to go watch it, and we have a good time. Sadly, that wasn't the case, so I had to watch it alone like a loser. But it was fun. I was on the edge of my seat, you know, after the undercards, because I was like feeling that roller coaster feeling you have sometimes when you're on the roller coaster, obviously. But I feel that during big fights when I'm like really backing one fighter over the other. But I wasn't really backing anybody behind this one. I like both of them. I just wanted to. I'll tell you something. I just wanted somebody to expose Ward. I wanted someone to make it a tough fight for Ward. I don't care if Ward wins or loses. I just want to see someone finally make it a tough fight for Ward. Because Ward's handled every fight he's had, not with ease, but he's handled them. Kind of like Mayweather outboxes his opponents and rarely ever has trouble with them. Ward's like that. He just knows how to outbox his opponents and take their confidence away from them. So I just wanted Kovalev to kind of like get Ward out of his comfort zone. So the fight starts and round 1 happens, and all of a sudden I'm seeing something I've never seen before, and that's that Ward's getting caught and getting off balance from Kovalev's jab alone, and that's big. That's a big deal. Just goes to show how effective a jab is when a gold medalist Olympic fighter and used to be number 2 pound for pound fighter can still get caught with a good jab and even throw him off balance. And we're talking about Kovalev here, who's arguably the best puncher pound for pound in the world. So round 2 comes, and that was an even crazier round because all of a sudden Ward's knocked down for the first time in his career. At least I think it was the first time in his career. It's the first time I saw him get knocked down ever. And I never heard of him getting knocked down either. And bear this in mind, Ward hasn't lost a fight since he was 12 years old. 12 years old. He's had, I think, like 100 and something. It's more than 100. It was like 125 fights, 5 losses. I know it's 5 losses he's had, and he hasn't lost since he was 12. So that's incredible. He's won the Olympic gold. He became the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. Was number 2 pound for pound. And all of a sudden he runs into Kovalev's right hand and gets dropped down to the canvas. Gets knocked down. And everybody goes crazy. Even the reporters were like, even the commentators, were like, oh my God, Ward's down on the floor for the count. And then Ward gets up, he's smiling, but you can tell he's hurt. He's still hurt, but when you're as good a boxer as Ward is and all your habits are boxing to the core, your technique is the best technique out there other than Mayweather's, you know how to survive. it's just as hard to get you out of there as it is to drop you. So Ward did everything he had to do. He clinched. He got on his bicycle. He kept Kovalev at bay with his jab. He survived. But people, including me, were thinking, like, could the next round be it? Like, Ward looks pretty hurt. And I was like, when I saw a knockdown, I shouted. I was like, oh, shit, you know? And round 3, you know, in between rounds, you see, I think his name's, Hunter. You see Hunter talking to Ward and telling Ward, Dre, he was calling him Dre, we're gonna win this. We're gonna knock him out. We're gonna get him out of there. So get your head back in there, you know, like, you're meant to win this. You're meant to be the greatest, right? And it was like a pretty like passionate speech he was giving Ward in his ear. I think Ward needed it too. They've got like a pretty good relationship. They're like the closest trainer fighter duo in their camp, you know. And then on Kovalev's side, you had his trainer and Kovalev, and his trainer's like, you know, calm and telling Kovalev, calm down, don't get overexcited. You got him hurt, but stick to your fundamentals, stick to your jab and your right hand, you know, double up on the jab and then launch that right hand and hurt him again. And don't punch yourself out. Number one, don't punch yourself out. You cannot afford to punch yourself out against a guy like Ward. When the guy you're fighting's technique is that good, you can't afford to do a lot of things. Anyway, round 3 happens. I think Kovalev won that round. And all of a sudden, round 4, Ward's back to feeling like good. He's not as hurt. But he's using his IQ to really turn things around on Kovalev. What stood out for me was his ability to like clinch Kovalev, and then out of the clinches launch some body shots on Kovalev, and those were points, and they were some really pretty body shots he was landing on Kovalev, and I know the judges took notice on that. So Ward all of a sudden was doing what he had to do. And the thing about body shots is they slow you down, and the longer a fight is, the more effective they are. So like, it's a 12-round fight. It's a long way to go. 36 minutes of fighting. If you invest on body shots early, you'll see the dividends at the end. So they'll pay out. That's what he was doing. Both of them were doing everything they had to do correctly. Ward was throwing body shots and on his bicycle, clinching. And then Kovalev was just pumping his jab, stalking Ward, trying to avoid his shots. But the body shots that Ward were throwing were pretty sneaky, like off the clinches. And it was an interesting clash of styles. Kovalev is a guy who's a boxer puncher. Ward's a pure boxer. And when you see that, you rarely see that, but it's like you don't know who's gonna win, especially when the guy who's a boxer puncher is the best puncher out there. But the boxer's also the best boxer out there, arguably. Both of them, arguably. So to see who would come out on top really like meant something to each one of them and to the rest of the boxing world. Like, who's great enough to win this? Both of them were great, but who's gonna come out of this as one of the greatest fighters, right, of our time? I got the feeling like this was another like Ray Leonard versus Hagler fight, or Ali versus Frazier, throw in the Manila fight, or Ali Foreman fight. We just saw like the caliber of those fights, you know, like, you know, whoever wins this one is gonna win some notoriety and some credit. Except the guy who won it didn't in this case, which was Ward. Ward surprisingly won that one, and it shouldn't be too surprising. I thought Kovalev won it by a slim margin, maybe like a round or two. But I wasn't too pissed about the decision because it was a good fight and it was close. And fucking, like, if it's a close fight, like, half the time judges don't get it the way you feel it is. But there is some, how do you say, controversy behind this. Fact being that the judges, all three of them, were American. And you have an American-born fighter who was this generation's, like, golden boy. He was the last guy to win the gold medal for the U.S. And it was a close fight, but they all had the same score at the end of it, which is completely possible. I'm not saying they, like, spoke with each other, like, texted under the table, like, yo, what do you got? But that goes to show that every round scored for Ward was a close round that they gave to Ward, regardless of how iffy it could have been. Like, maybe it was Kovalev's, but I'll give it to Ward instead. Every round that was for sure Kovalev's, they gave to Kovalev. But every round that could have been Kovalev's, they gave to Ward. I know what I'm trying to say is, like, confusing, so I'll try again. It's what Max Kellerman basically said, that Ward won every round that didn't look like Kovalev won, right? Which is obvious, but I'll move on. Anyway, so the three judges made their decision. They all unanimously, and when I heard the word unanimously, even I was, like, taken aback. I was like, whoa, unanimously? Like, the judges all voted unanimously for the first time ever on a fight like this. But they all gave it to Ward, and you could just hear the boos. Even though it was, like, a fight here in the United States, you could still hear the boos. And poor Kovalev, because I thought Kovalev won by one round. But, hopefully, like, he understands that this happens in boxing. Like, if you leave it up to the judges, you don't get what you want sometimes. Hopefully it doesn't, diminish his heart in the sport. But we'll see. And Ward, I think he's had it even tougher than Kovalev after winning, because we might not know about it, but when these fighters, top-notch, world-class fighters, win controversially, they always get hate mail. And sometimes they get threats, man. Like, you guys talk a lot of shit, act like, oh, these guys are living the high life now, they have it all good, like, so I'm gonna try and ruin it for them a little bit, like a hater. You don't realize that there's a ton of people that think like you, and even more, and they're going out there and actually trying to, like, be jerks to these guys and ruin their lives. Like when Timothy Bradley won against Pacquiao, Tim actually got death threats from people, a ton of hate mail, and just felt like that was the worst moment of his life, winning that, even though, like, I don't think it was literally the worst moment of his life. But I imagine it's the same for Ward, and Ward's just been getting heckled on since winning. But I did find funny and kind of immature of him was when Floyd Mayweather even admitted, I thought Kovalev won. And that's a big name to, like, hear that from. So when Floyd said that, Ward launched back a Facebook post, or maybe it was like a Instagram post, that said something on the lines of, you're subject to criticism all the time, so you know how it is to be criticized, so you should know better than to do it to me. Um, you're one of like the biggest names out there, so you should make an example for others, not to criticize. Blah blah blah. And I thought that was kind of stupid because Ward's basically telling Mayweather not to have an opinion. Um, so Ward can be kind of immature sometimes too, and not kind of see this from an unbiased point of view. Even though, like, obviously he's gonna think he won. Maybe he doesn't even think he won because after the fight, I saw the look on his face, and I felt like he even knew like this fight was way too damn close. Like he thought like it could go either way, and that's the truth. Like when they announced his name, his frown went upside down all of a sudden. So that was a good fight. That was a good fight regardless, and I hope they make number two. Problem is, if they make number two, the upper hand goes to Ward because when again you have a guy whose boxing is as good as Ward, whose IQ is as high as Ward's, it's a problem. He will adjust, just like he adjusted to the first fight. But don't count out Kovalev. Kovalev's, still a great fighter. And if number two happens, I'll be sure to watch it. And I'll probably root for Kovalev this time. And if Kovalev does win by decision, there'll be a rematch, of course. If he does knock out Ward, it might not be a rematch. It might still be. But I kind of doubt he'll knock out Ward. But I'll make another video right now and talk about Frampton, Santa Cruz. So stay tuned, guys. Catch you later.